Okay, this is the very, very impressive engine bay of a 1970 Challenger convertible, plumb crazy car, as you can see. But everything in this car is done to the nth degree. I'll give you a little explanation as to how it came to be at the end of the walk around here. But it is a Viper V10 engine, circa 98, 99, installed in this vehicle. Everything has been either polished or chromed to the nth degree. Obviously, they've had to modify the intake system on it, and it has two K&N style filters with hand fabricated tubes going to the throttle bodies. Chrome top of the radiator, the correct style hoses for the vehicle. It does have power steering, power disc brakes, and air conditioning on this guy. And it all functions just as it should, too. This thing makes some serious horsepower. These things made roughly 450 in the car. And, of course, with this open intake system on it and the hand-fabricated header system that's on the car, I'm sure it's making substantially more than that. But the car is a show-quality vehicle. You can see everything has been finely chromed. Everything is done Viper etched into this cross brace for the strut towers, shock towers. The entire engine compartment is just absolutely detailed to the nth degree. This motor is a, like I say, it's a 10-cylinder Viper engine, incredibly silk smooth. It makes tons of horsepower, and it's just as smooth as you could ever imagine. And it's also mated to the Viper 6-speed transmission. So this guy is a Viper in the skin of a 70 Challenger RT-style convertible. We're going to go around the rest of it and show you what we can. Well, we're at Hanksters, and we're going to present to you a very, very special car. This thing is just done from the top to the bottom, front to back, nth degree. This is not driver quality paint on this vehicle. It is absolutely show quality finish. It has a lot of depth to it. There's no misting or fading in the metallic in it. Plumb crazy paint on it. Look at the gaps on this thing. The hood to the fender, the correct style pins for the hood. Look at the fitment. The total fitment of the whole car is just precise. Everything right on. Again, the gap going toward the windshield area. Flat black or semi-flat black on the hood. The hood is not opened up. It still has the block-off plates on it. Of course, it wouldn't really make any sense to open it with the air intake the way it is on this vehicle. The front end of the car is as it would be for an RT 1970 Challenger. Everything is precisely fit on it. You can see the bumper fitment is spot on. There are no scuffs or imperfections in the front bumper. Obviously, no dents or dings whatsoever in it. Looking underneath on the front valance, there's no pulls or marks on it. It has the amber parking lights in it just the way it should. And again, you can see Challenger RT in the grille. Really a great looking car. Going down the side of it, side marker lights are just as nice and patina free as you could ever hope to find. It has wheel lip moldings on it. Again, look at this fit. Look at this. The door, windshield surround is all finely polished stainless steel. Dashboard, there's no deviations or imperfections in the padded dash whatsoever. VIN tag still nice and legible, nice and clean as can be. Obviously, it's a convertible. The vinyl top is the same original equipment style vinyl, heavy-duty vinyl that Chrysler installed on these vehicles when they were new. Look at the window fitment on this thing, from front window to the rear quarter glass. Wipes, whiskers are nice and fresh. Again, look at our fitment of this door. Precise, everything right on, no patina on the door handle itself. Set of sport mirrors on it. They could be painted or chromed. They chose to put chrome ones on this guy. When you open the interior of this up, you can take a look and see how clean the door panels are, and the seats and the back seat they've made to match the Viper front seats in this car. The seats are Viper style seats in the front of this car. Also Viper steering wheel, and if you look closely you'll see Viper gauges installed in the Chrysler dash on this vehicle, on the Dodge dash. Sill moldings are all finely polished and nice and clean, and you can see the inside of the doors. This is a very, very high-end, high-quality car. Nice fit, finish everywhere you look. It just reeks precision everywhere. Even the door closure. This again is all finely polished around the back. Of course, it has a plastic rear window, but it's nice and taut. You know, there's no wrinkles or warps in it whatsoever. The boot is still on the in the well in the back. When you go down the side of the car, you can see everything is precisely fit. The door, front, back, fenders, even looking up at the hood and the top of the fenders, you can see everything is precise as can be. It does have a set of rally wheels on it. Everybody's choice today is a rally wheel on a Mopar, or of course a Kelsey Hayes wheel. But this car is just precise in every way. Look at the bumblebee stripe around the back. You can see it, but you can't feel it. That's how much clear there is on this vehicle. Of course, it has a rear deck spoiler with it. Adds a lot of pop to it. Look at the fitment of this deck lid. Again, Challenger RT designation on it. Tail light assemblies, everything is nice and finely polished and clean. Back bumper the same way as the front. There's absolutely no scuffs or marks or pulls or anything whatsoever on it. Of course, you're centrally located. Backup light. The exhaust system is just the way it would be on a 70 RT. Duals on each side, rectangular. Back panel, rear valance, nice fitment of it. There's no pulls or marks, anything whatsoever on it. Inside the trunk, obviously, there was absolutely no room for a battery up front, so guess what? Gets mounted in the back. The quarter panels, the floor, there's covering on here. I can't pull this up, but it's glued to the floor, but the floor itself has absolutely no deterioration or rust whatsoever. A huge amplifier for the sound system in the vehicle, or jacking instructions underneath, just the way it would have been in 1970. Again, all your fitment of the seals on the doors and deck lid, everything is absolutely brand new on this car. Look at the fitment of this. This is amazing. Just the way everything lines up and everything fits. You can tell this car's been hand done by a group of people that really know what they're doing. Of course, our quick fill gas cap that Challenger uses. A little ding right here. I don't know where it came from, but there is a little dingy here. Something fell, a broom or something, and hit. And another one, you can't see it. You have to look at the right reflective angle, but there's a little mark here too. But this one definitely is a ding. Geez. Again, look at the window fitment, the front glass to the quarter glass to the Chrysler, so it was an air car to begin with. And again, Devin's going to show you a lot of high-resolution photographs to depict everything that we can on this car. The door jambs, again, the sills, the seats themselves, the seating area. There's seat belts in the front. I don't believe they have any in the rear. The seams, everything on this car is just nice and precise. There's nothing that's really out of line on it at all. I mean, absolutely at all. Fitment, look. Totally amazing. Right-hand mirror, nice addition. It is a tinted windshield in the front too. I neglected to mention that. Also the correct wiper arms and blades. You can't see them, but they're hidden down inside there. What you see through the windshield here, that's the remote for the sound system that's in this vehicle. Again, look at the front. Chrysler Pentastar just where it should be. Challenger RT designation. Of course, an antenna for our radio. And I just can't get over the fitment or the finish. And we still haven't found any marks or chips or dings or scuffs or imperfections in the paint. Back up to the side marker lamp in the front. Passenger side, and we're back where we started again. The car's a very special car, and I got a little bit of a history with it. From what we understand, this car was commissioned by a CEO of Chrysler at that point in time in the late 90s. So what the Dodge tech team did for him, he was a car guy, liked to go to car cruises, car events, so he needed something a little bit special to drive. So what's more popular at that point in time than a 70 or 71 Challenger RT? So here we have a convertible in that configuration with a modern day 98, 99 Viper driveline in it. The car runs and handles and stops, everything just what you would expect. Again, it was done professionally from what we understand in-house at Dodge by the tech team. It has a different cradle on it. The front suspension has all been addressed and handled a little differently than it was originally engineered by Chrysler. They had to make some room in the tunnel, so they refabricated the floor pan and the firewall in the front to accept this huge motor lengthwise and the 6-speed transmission that it now houses. Driving this thing's like driving an electric drill around, and there's no end to the power on it. Vipers are very deceptive. Even though they were rated at only 450 horsepower, which this guy's going to make more than that because of its appointments, but first and second gear, it never straightens out until after you're out of third gear. This car is really, really a strong running car, but it's also a car that you can take and use on an everyday basis. It has air conditioning, steering, brakes, handles nicely, drives well, doesn't do anything wrong, and there's no indication that it's anything other than an RT convertible until you open the hood or jump on it. We try to put these cars together to show you exactly what they are. You know, you just watch this go around this entire car. Devin took pictures of everything that I pointed to. He's also going to give you about 100 of them, high resolution, that you can study and find out exactly what you want as far as imperfections, or maybe you see something that I missed. So look at the still photos, and we encourage everyone to come in person and look at these cars. That way you know exactly what you're getting. You get a chance to drive it. We can put it up on a rack. We can take it out and scream it through the first 3, 4 gears if you want. But that way you know what you're getting. But if you can't, that's why Devin's putting all this together. He's compiling all this. And this is not a 15-minute operation. It takes him a lot of hours, about 5 hours, to compile this video and all these pictures together to present them to you. So take a look at it. Let's hear it, Hanksters in Daytona Beach. Okay, this is the undercarriage of our Viper Challenger convertible. You can see, again, we talked about hand fabrication. This is the original K-member over here. You can see how Dodge has added this. Looks like to be about pretty close to 1/4-inch steel plate. Gives you a way of draining the oil, but it also houses the engine so that nothing can hit it. There's no way you're going to hit this aluminum oil pan, which does stick down. Actually, not much further than a standard K-member, but a little bit, just enough to cause a little bit of an issue. So they've taken care of that and for you and ensured that there's not going to be an issue. Also, Devin will get a picture of it, but there's a plate in the front here, like an air deflector, that says Viper in it. It's all hand, well, it's etched, laser etched into it. Obviously an aluminum engine block, oil pan. Transmission's a 6-speed that came out of the Viper. The cover over the clutch area is not on. Gets a little more air through there. Everything on this car has been reinforced. The subframes on the front, you can see, have additional structural bracing on them on both sides. Plus they put little heavier torque boxes in the front here to ensure structural rigidity of the car. The floor pan had to be modified in order to fit this 6-speed Viper transmission in it. They did a very nice job of refabrication on the undercarriage of this car, of the original undercarriage. Not because it needed it, because of deterioration. There's no indication that this car's ever had the floor pans replaced in it or any other major work done on the undercarriage. The subframes are again tied together with, they chromed them, but they are subframe connectors. The exhaust system comes off as a, I'm going to call it 2 1/4. They may be 2 1/2 inch, but I'm going to call them 2 1/4. They do have a crossover pipe, which is also some Chrysler engineering that went on. The seat belts are the original type seat belts that are hooked in the front. They go into Flowmaster mufflers. Full torque boxes in the back of this guy. Convertibles came that way, but so did 6-pack cars and Hemis. But they have full torque boxes in the front of your spring perch mounts. 8 3/4 heavy-duty rear end, a custom-made drive shaft, obviously, for this application. You can see that the parking brake is still hooked up and functional. For neglected to mention, it has heavy-duty disc brakes in the front, new shocks, new ball joints, new everything in the suspension, because the car was a complete rebuild. The rear differential is a 8 3/4 Mopar. I don't know what the ratio is, but Donnie, I'm sure, is going to put it up for you. It has a new round of rubber on the front and back. Nice curvature to the springs on it. They're heavy-duty Chrysler springs, new shocks in the rear. Gas tank appears to be the original one little knuckle ding there. Other than that, honestly, there's absolutely nothing. The drop downs in the quarters are just as nice as they were when they were new. They're not really, that one's coming loose. Something pulled on that one for some reason there, Devin. I don't know why, but that little tab is bent up a little bit. But there's no rust or deterioration whatsoever. And the exhaust where it comes out, that's going to be 2.5. I'm going to call this 2 1/4. They go back into the splitters in the back that go out through the rear of the Lance. There's something that we're going to point out to you, just so you know that we're not trying to hide anything. There is a dent in that rear piece of trim that at the end of the trunk, the deck lid, that I neglected to see when it was inside the building. But once we got it out here on a rack, you can see it. So we want to point it out so that you know we're not trying to hide anything. If we see even anything at the later point, you know, we'll bring it up to you, or whenever you call and discuss a car, we'll make it a point to show you that, or tell you that there is a little imperfection that we neglected to detect whenever we went through our video. Again, look, no leaks whatsoever on this guy. I mean, there are absolutely none. It's a nice heavy-duty driveline in it. Even the transmission mount is all hand fabricated. A lot of hand fabrication done by Chrysler on this vehicle. Very, very well done, and everything structurally reinforced for the power that this guy has. It's a nice car. We're going to go for a little ride and show you a little bit of what it runs like. So it's here at Hankster's in Daytona Beach. Okay, this is our very special 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible, plumb crazy guy with a Viper driveline in it. Viper gauges in it. You can see everything is working. We're showing a little under half a tank of gas. We've got about 14 volts charging. We have about 60 pounds of oil pressure. Temperature just coming up, about 140 maybe, something like that. Speedometer, which I know is going to work. Turn signal left, functioning as it should. Turn signal right, functioning as it should. It does have a tilt wheel, by the way. It does have Viper steering column in it, so it does house a Viper tilt steering wheel in it. Let's see what we got here. Air conditioning. We do have air conditioning. And it does work. Blower came on. This thing has so much power it doesn't matter, but you couldn't really hear the compressor kick on, but you can feel it's blowing cold. So the air does work in this car. It does function. Let's see here. Wipers. Wipers are functioning. Okay, the radio does work. Devin had it working. You can see that it does function as it should. I don't know how to work it, but it does work. I'm lucky I can operate my cell phone. Devin's our electronics expert, and it does function. So, oh, by the way, tachometer, also white face to match the rest of the gauges that are Viper, and the tach works just as it should too, and Viper tach. So let's go for a little jaunt down the road, see how this guy works. Very precise steering in this thing. I mean, it is right on the money. It's so touchy that if you move the steering wheel a quarter of an inch, it moves the car that way, but it goes down the road straight as can be. You can see that. One thing I neglected to mention whenever we were underneath this, it does have rack and pinion steering. It doesn't have a conventional steering box. They went to the Viper rack and pinion steering on it. Also, it has a Hurst shifter with, check this out, pistol grip on it to carry on the theme of the 70 Challenger RT. So they tried to make it as much an RT as they possibly could with the driveline. Very, very nicely done. Brakes are real responsive on this thing too. I mean, you just barely put them on and they stop you. Very impressive braking system on it. Little shot here. That's just that wasn't to the hammer, to the floor. That was just partial throttle, first and second gear. You can hear it has a nice sound to it. This thing will make some serious horsepower and definitely get the job done. There's absolutely nothing that you can fault the car for. It goes down the road straight as an arrow. no hands on the wheel. It's just a nice car. You know what? We didn't do brakes, no hands. Let's do that right now. There's brakes, no hands. There we are. It's a nice running car. It's a little bit of a third gear shot when it was just starting to come up on the power band. You got to be careful. There's a lot of traffic out today. This is a fantastic running car. It's just something that you're not going to find a duplication of, you know. You're going to have the only one. It's a hand-built piece of Chrysler engineering, and you're just not going to find a duplication to it.